This is where we are going to be discussing a lot of pertinent issues with you here and there. It is the Friday edition, of course. If you see me dressed the way I'm doing, it is because the Friday is just here, and that means the weekend is actually just around the corner. For those who love the weekend, just like me, I want to say we have been actually waiting for this moment. That means we are going to be doing this with you in a way that I must say is going to be a bit legit. Up to, that is 9 o'clock, and 9 o'clock is going to be our final destination. But of course, in here I will be letting you know of so many stories happening in the country, right from the region. I'll be touching also the stories at northern Uganda level and country level at large. I will be touching all the corners to see how best we can be able to solely maybe talk on some of those issues, because if you look at the KOKOLIRIKO live show, our #1 mandate remains, that is to enlighten region. And as West Nile Television, we are not going to be doing that alone. Therefore, we have to work together. And it being a Friday, and somebody may be asking, really, what activities over the weekend? We are saying a lot more is happening. And it also happens to be the 25th day into the month of October. We are counting down 5 days to wind up with this month. But the question is, how is the month coming to an end on your side? Making an evaluation maybe on what are some of the plans that you wanted to achieve at the beginning of the year, and maybe towards this year, what were those things that you wanted to do? This is the question where now you should be asking yourself, of course, ask and assess yourself on what exactly you have done so far and what you are left with to achieve as the year is definitely coming to an end. Because if you look at October, when October is done, we are going to be entering another month, that is November. That is where we shall be seeing now most of the schools' activities coming to an end, mostly in December, where we see the learners also at home. But the question is, how ready are we as parents to allow the children also really sit for the examinations? Because I do understand the senior fours already winding up with their last papers. Others could be having 3 papers, others could be having 2. Others could as well be counting now about 1 or 2 papers. Anytime from now, we are going to be seeing them home. But how ready are we to keep them home, and also how ready are we as parents and as community to also really receive them home? Because many of the times, these children also we see them going through a lot. But all in all, we are saying we need to also create for them that environment that is enabling to also really allow them also really live peacefully in this country in here. Because if at all we don't do that, we are going to be seeing also really in trouble. That would be very, very much bad in there. But the senior candidates still. Allow me wish you success. For those who are still counting down the papers, we are saying success in these remaining papers. We are waiting to see if you will excel and put the name of the region and the country at large. That's on the map. We want to see you doing that, because if you really make it, then surely we are going to be the ones very much proud of you. And that is how we are going to be seeing also how the day will be going on. But at the national scene, we are seeing stories of where government has been ordered to compensate Kakwenza, who is also in exile, who also was also tortured in there and did fly also into exile in there today. We are seeing the government also being ordered to pay 50 million. That is in compensation for the torture also that the man was subjected to. Because if you remember the scenario on which maybe the man was subjected to, you had also the bruises, he had also the cuts in the back. We were able to see all that. And how ready are we maybe to see that such scenarios not happen in the country? Because we do not want people having wires, also maybe symptoms of wires, electricity, I don't know, on their backs. It is really, really quite wrong. Even if people do not also really speak things that you want to listen to, they still have freedom of thought. And freedom of opportunity, which is unlimited in there, is also only one thing which we must always respect. Even if you are speaking something which you don't want to hear, or you do not want to also listen to, please give me that idea. Listen to me. At least do not also torture me, is what at the end of the day is going to be very, very much good in there. And I hope at the end of the day, each and everyone out there, I will be in position to also make sure that they also really understand why people do not also have to be subjected to such activities. And that is where at the end of the day, I will be letting you know what exactly is happening still in that story in relation to Kakwenza. And I really want to share the plenary yesterday was suspended as senior charges also MPs against also coffee bill. That is another story which we did see happening in there. I feel we need to also look into this, because if you look at the coffee bill, many times it has been generating a lot of debate. How can we make sure that maybe this coffee bill is actually tabled without people having fears. Now, plenary sitting chaired by Speaker of Parliament, that's right, Honorable Anita Among, yesterday was temporarily also really halted after the leader of opposition in Parliament, that is Honorable Joel Senior, charged also really legislators to oppose the decision, that is to head into a mid and final stages of processing the National Coffee Amendment Bill of 2004. So I think it's really some story that we are seeing in the papers this morning. This is on the Monitor, and the bill which also seeks to, that is, return the Uganda Coffee Development Authority to the Ministry of Agriculture and Animal Industry, that's MAIF, as part of the government's rationalization of agencies and public also expenditure, was also what we did see causing a lot of commotion in Parliament in there. But how ready are we for all this? Now the debate on the said also item commenced, that's at about 6 minutes after 12 p.m. with most submissions made by opposition-leaning also members who were all against the plan by government to rationalize UCDA, and other submissions also in relation to this matter, apart from saying were made by, that is the Constitutional Affairs Minister, Robert Mao, who under the State Minister also for Agriculture, Lieutenant Colonel retired, that is Bright Ramirama, who tried also to persuade the MPs to endorse the bill in there. But to date, we are seeing some of the MPs rejecting, and now the MPs who rejected the verdict also against, made by also made by, that is Anita Mong, on her also really question also in there, and that is exactly what we did see happening in there. But I hope at the end of the day, it is really something which we must also really embark on and support, if at all we are to see this bill come out, and as expected in there, because if you look at the bill that seeks to take UCDA, that is to MAIF, which is under the Ministry of Agriculture, also in there. Many people also saying that this is not going to be happening, and today we have also the government also having plans and proposals also to merge some of these agencies where we are seeing others already being moved, but many are still struggling to see if they can be able to survive in there. But how ready are we as a country to see the merger of some of these entities is what really matters and what we should be talking about. And I hope at the end of the day, as a country, we are ready for all this. If you look at the coffee today, coffee as a cash crop is actually one of those crops that many people are pushing out for. In Western Sub-region, we have not been known as a region that produces coffee of late, but back then we were known as an area that produces also coffee. But how ready are we to see the revival of this coffee when we are talking about the mergers? Because somebody out there could be saying that today we are talking about mergers. If we move UCDA, that is to MAIF, are we ready to also see that this achieves the intended purpose? First of all, will it see coffee production increase? Will it address the concerns of price disparities? Because if you look at the price fluctuation within coffee, today it is actually an area which I feel should be able to be addressed. Many farmers have been counting losses over the years, and this is really another area which I feel, if at all, this is going to be addressing, then it is high time we allow that to go on. And after counting, the Speaker returned that to the House chambers and announced that the members, that 77 had not also voted against also nays and the second reading, while 159 also really, we are also really in support. And after reading, of course, the results, Ms. Among adjourned the House. That is already which we did see happening in there. But how ready are we all to see maybe that this bill does not be, maybe is not thrown out, or maybe it is passed? Because as a country, maybe as a region, are we in need of this bill, and what are the reasons as to why we must be able to support this bill is what really matters. Because if you look at this bill, somebody out there could be saying it is not a right bill, it's not good, but is it good? And is it bad? If at all we are rejecting it, what reasons do we have for rejection of this bill is really another question we should be in position to solely see that we talk about. Because if you look at all this, it is actually signaling and sending some message somewhere in there, and at the end of the day, we need to also see that this bill is either passed or it is rejected, and the grounds must be clear, because many times members of the public also have been raising doubt on some of the debates that is being conducted in Parliament. First of all, on the resolution also bill, where some agencies are surviving according to also the rumors, because people are bribed somewhere. And really, if it is true, then that is quite absurd. But really, how ready are we as a nation to see that this bill also really moves the step is what really matters in there. And really, that's where we're going to be taking a short commercial break. This is the KOKOLIRIKO live show on Western TV channel 477. And that's on sometimes. We also there on Zuku, that's on channel 0073. And of course, we are also really joining a new platform that is of Azam, I'll be letting you know more details of maybe the signal. That means if at all you are planning to move maybe to an area where you think this decoder may not be able to maybe catch from that side, maybe that one, then there's no need for you to be worried, because we are going to be moving on many of these platforms, and anytime from now we are going to be on all these platforms, and that is actually what we are working towards. And we hope also really that is to make sure that you are covered and catered for in all the spheres and in all the signal maybe platforms, to make sure that you're not left out. Now we are there on YouTube. For you who is not having a television, do not be worried and maybe thinking that I do not have a television. I'm always watching from this person's family, and I feel I should be watching this television each and every time. I really want to tell you that you shouldn't be worried, because we are in there on all the platforms. That's on social media, where you can be in position to watch us on YouTube. We are there on the X, that is formerly known as Twitter. We are there on also Twitter, and that's on TikTok. And all that is to make sure that you are also really in position to watch us from wherever you choose to watch us from. You could be choosing to watch us from that's within Western Sub-region, in entire northern Uganda, across borders. We take a short commercial break. I bounce back shortly.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Bellingham, Vinicius Jr., Lamine Yamal, Antoine Griezmann. La Liga comes to Star Times.
A wild celebration!
The big stars, the tiki-taka football, Real Madrid and Barcelona live in your living room.
Real Madrid, a team of dreams!
Catch all 380 games live and in HD on Sports Premium, Channel 259 and Channel 246. Starting this August 15th. Subscribe to StarTimes Classic or Smart Bouquet at 36,000 Uganda shillings to enjoy the football experience affordably. StarTimes Football and limited passion.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, we are counting down 6 minutes, that is into 8 o'clock. You're most welcome from wherever you're watching us from. This is the KOKOLIRIKO live show and the Friday edition. And that is where you see the vibe is always high because we're heading into the weekend. And that is where I want to say, as the weekend is getting closer, we should be in position to celebrate this with caution and with a lot of responsibility in there, because if you do not celebrate it wisely, then it may actually turn out to be one of those worst weekends that is going to ruin your life. And that means for those who are planning to celebrate it through maybe drinking alcohol, let's drink also really responsibly in there. For those who are planning to go for night movements, please be mindful and be watchful of the surroundings. And really, I would want to really say that you should be able to maybe celebrate that way. You can actually choose to celebrate this weekend by going to church, dedicating it entirely to also God, by visiting the churches, by visiting the mosques, and spend the time with God. And this will actually be one of those best weekends to you that way. And I really feel at the end of the day that would help us really in addressing some of those issues in there. Now the Uganda Muslim Spring Council has also really appointed Sheikh Hafid Harun Muhammad Bukenya, and this is one of the first stories also we are seeing into the second hour, as the deputy moved also really replacing, that is Sheikh Abdallah Semambo, who resigned amidst controversy in there. That means the position that has been vacant has now been filled by, that is also the Sheikh Muhammad Harun Bukenya, who is also going to be replacing Sheikh Semambo in there. And over time, we had been seeing a lot of conflicts. That is also really hitting Uganda Muslim Spring Council. But now we have seen also really that this is now going to be addressed. And where now the position that has been vacant is actually going to be filled. And I feel at the end of the day that is also going to be addressing some of the issues also which I feel could be out in there. Now the announcement also was made at Old Kampala Mosque by the director of Sharia Sheikh Ziad Lubanga on Thursday, also in the presence of the Mufti of Uganda, that is His Eminence Sheikh Shaban Ramadan Mubaje, and that also where we shall be seeing him, his deputy, now be appointed in there. And all that is going to be enhancing service delivery, I believe, also at the camp. Also, remember, Uganda Muslim Spring Council is the umbrella body that brings together the Muslims in this country, and it was actually set during the reign of Idi Amin, also in there, and today has stood the test of time. And that is also where we are seeing a lot of issues happening. But we hope also now the appointment of the deputy is going to be addressing some of those issues. Now this development also comes at a time as the Uganda Muslim Spring Council plans to celebrate its 50 years of existence. That will be taking place on December 12th, that's already of this year, where the Mufti Mubaje also did go on to express pride in the council's achievement, and citing President Museveni's also acknowledgement of their growth in there. Remember, this also umbrella body has grown, and today also is also being also acknowledged, which also is exciting the Mufti in the Namud. But also highlighted also the council's progress, including the construction of Gaddafi Mosque, and acknowledged the challenges faced also including a decade of fighting that affected also the Muslim community, and these also the issues which have also been affecting the umbrella body in there. Now, Mbaji also regretted the 10 years lost, that is to fight in fighting, which also has been within the Muslims themselves. For over 10 years, the Muslims also had been having that challenge in there. Now, this also affected the Muslim community across the country. However, also Mubaji did go on to know that Muslims have united again, and the development also programs are progressing well for them in there, and which is really something which we also really have to appreciate in there. Now, also the new appointed, that's the Sheikh, that is Bukenya, also did go on to pledge to promote and also protect the Muslim community, and this is where also really he will be taking on a new office that fell vacant after the other person who was in there. Maybe he was also hoping that he would be appointed as the new Mufti, but that didn't go on well, and he was also forced to resign in there. Now, the Uganda Muslim Spring Council's 50-year celebration is expected to draw dignitaries from various Muslim countries, with keynote addresses and other events also planned. Mubaji urged all Ugandans already heading the commemoration and thanked President Museveni for promoting unity and also really hope among the Muslim community in there, which is really something I want to say is quite good. Today is a Friday. To the Muslim community, we are saying you must also really make sure that you go for Juma prayers. Many times people also really feel they don't want to go for Juma prayers, but I really want to make this reminder that Juma is actually one of those big days in the Muslim's life, and it is actually one of those days that a Muslim man and a woman also must be able to honor in there, because just like Eid, Juma is also another public holiday which we must therefore embrace in good spirits by visiting the mosques, and also praying in these mosques also on this day in there is really something which I feel would be very well. And I hope all that is going to be possible, where you will be in position to also move to also be part of also the congregation to pray also in the mosques in there, because really it is quite beautiful seeing also people going for these Juma prayers also in there is something good, and we must also honor it. And that is where we are going to be leaving the discussion still within the Muslim camp. I do want to assure you that the Muslim community also is urging, that is Minister for Lands also to intervene in the land also that is in Jinja, which also they did also see embattled also together with the Jinja Referral Hospital, where court also had to give now the land that is also to the Jinja Hospital in there. But this is also something that didn't go on well with the Muslim community, who are today now calling for the intervention of the Minister of Lands in there. That's where we're now seeing also they want to reclaim the land, and we hope also the reclamation also, if at all indeed the land belongs to the Muslim community, they will be in position also to get back in there. And that is where we did see Uganda Muslim Spring Council has officially also petitioned the Minister of Lands, Housing and Urban Development, that is the Minister Judith Nabakoba, in a renewed also in efforts to reclaim the 4.5-acre piece of land, where also we did see Jinja Regional Referral Hospital is currently sitting in there, and the contestation already is one of those areas. I remember the Muslim community on Eid had to pray on this land, but after a few days we were able to see stories of Jinja Referral Hospital taking over the land. Now the land in question is located, that's on plot 31-39, that is on Nile Avenue, Jinja Southern City Division, which is just adjacent to Jinja Regional Referral Hospital. Now in this petition, the Uganda Muslim Spring Council urges Minister Nabakoba and the Office of the President also, and all the Ministers of Eastern Affairs to first state a resolution also to addressing the matter in there, and also see if at all they can be able to reclaim this land back. And now this latest petition also follows Regional Referrals for recent contract with the engineering also brigade of UPDF, that's also to erect a perimeter wall on the contested also land as a buffer also in. Now this also action has restricted the Muslim community in Jinja from accessing the cemetery where they buried their loved ones for the past 92 years. Also right now, that's where we did see Professor Dr. Lubega describes the situation as humiliating and unrealistic, dehumanizing and unacceptable in society as well in there. And really this is one thing which we did see, and we hope at the end of the day, if at all the land belongs to the Muslim community, court should make its pronouncements such that we avoid further bloodshed, because we may see bloodshed slowly emerging as a result of this. Because if you look at the Jinja Regional Referral Hospital, it is actually one of those good things. It is serving all. It's serving the Muslim community, it's serving the Christians, it's serving the pagans, it is serving everybody. But why is this issue of the land also coming up? But I feel it is just because some issue is not also going on well in there, and there could also be a piece or maybe a disagreement between the two parties, which I feel the government should also be able to intervene on timely in there. Now in August, Busoga Regional Osoka, that's Dr. Hussein Muhammad Bowa, sought President Museveni's also intervention regarding the contested land, also highlighted that it has been used by the Muslim community since 1932, and that is where we are now seeing also the land that is being used as a burial ground also is now currently also seeing UPDF also erecting a perimeter wall as a buffer, also being contracted by the authorities from the Jinja Regional Referral Hospital. Now the Jinja Regional Referral Hospital Director, that is Alfred Yai, however, also did go on also to indicate also a separate interview with also journalists that the Uganda Muslim Spring Council had been advised to formally request access to the cemetery, but had not also done so, and that is where they are now taking over the land in there. But how can we see this happening without bloodshed? And how can we be in position to also make sure that this does not go on? Because looking at all these issues, and then you realize that something could not be adding up somewhere. Who is wrong and who is the right owner of this piece of land? Is it Uganda Muslim Spring Council? Is it Jinja Regional Referral Hospital, the right owners? So I think it is where we feel people must also really be able to come together, and the matter must be harmonized. And this is where we expect the courts of law also to come up on board and also make deliberations on this matter, and also really make pronouncements on the right owner, which I feel at the end of the day will be quite well when it comes to addressing those issues. And I feel that is where we need to also look at also those issues, and we hope also this matter does not escalate into bloodshed. And this is one thing we are following up keenly, and it is yet a developing story which has been there for some time, and we are still going to be letting you know of more stories and more developments in relation to that in there. Leaving that aside, a couple has been arrested for also taking also their affairs to also the Kisoro Church. And this is really quite absurd, because we not expect you to also go and do your bad behaviors. That is also in a place of worship, in a God's house. Now the police in Kisoro district also have arrested a married couple that was discovered having an intercourse. That's at the toilet of St. Peter's Catholic Parish. That is in Kisoro Town Council. On Thursday morning, which was yesterday, now we did see the community liaison officer, Boaz Arnaitwe, confirmed the arrest also stating that we condemn the act, and the accused people also shall be charged accordingly once police investigations into the matter are complete. But as a human being, don't you fear God? Don't you see that God is going to be seeing you? And this is really something which we feel is really, really wrong, and we must also be able to desist from. Now the couple, all residents also of Gasherengenyi, Kadaba sub-county, claimed they were also instructed by the self-proclaimed prophetess from Kabale also district to perform the act to cleanse themselves solely of a bad omen. Where do you believe in such prophets? And why must you also really believe in such prophets? Before you fall prey into some of these prophetess that are false, then it is high time that we remind that today we have a lot of quack pastors. How can we also maybe evacuate such also fake clergy? Because if you look at also the first clergy, the numbers are actually today rising. That's in all denominations in there. But how can we be in position to address all these matters? Because there's no way a prophet or God is going to be instructing you to do a bad thing in his place. I don't think if there's any God or maybe any prophet that will be instructing you to do that, but this is where we did see it being unfortunate, and now these people are currently under police custody as investigations into the matter are already ongoing. But how can we, maybe there's some such practices is what really matters, and at the end of the day, we hope this is going to be also really addressing those concerns and addressing all those issues to make sure that we also live peacefully in there. And that is one area which we feel also would be very, very much good, and also to make sure that people actually desist from such practices. We don't expect you to also do that. And at the end of the day, that is where you are going to be ashamed. That is where you're going to be hiding yourself. I don't know how you're going to be looking at the community members. And that is where we did see Kateki Sendegea Vincent expressing shock and also condemn the issue, and telling that this is also the first instance at the parish, and therefore as clergy they do condemn it. Now Kisoro Assistant Resident District Commissioner, that is Valence Anguimana, has also condemned also the same behavior, calling on religious leaders to sensitize the public about such issues also in there. Now the incident recalls a similar case in November 2021 where a couple was sentenced to 30 months also in prison for having also the same incident that's in Kisoro Bungangana Highway. And now the couple's action have sparked outrage, with many calling for stern action against them. And I feel I'm of the same view. A heavier punishment for this could be also a solution. Maybe they should be walloped 100 canes in public. This will be as a warning to also the would-be perpetrators, and there will be also the people also of the same intention of committing such crimes. And I feel it's high time that these people should be caned 100 strokes. This is what I would suggest if at all I was in position also to do so. Of course I'm not, but I hope giving them a heavier punishment would be actually a solution and would actually do much when it comes to addressing some of those issues in there. But at the end of the day, we feel there's something that needs to be done. I feel there's something that needs to be done. Therefore, that is where also you can still share your thoughts and opinions on what exactly should be done to this couple that was found doing their things in the premises of God's house. Really very, very much bad, and this is one thing which I feel at the end of the day I should be in position to seek your opinions and share your ideas and thoughts solely in there. For those of you watching us online, you can drop those comments coming through. That is on the YouTube comment section. If you are told you are watching us via that platform, we'll be in position to go through some of those comments. For you who's watching me via Facebook, still drop it on the comment section in there. We'll be in position definitely to go through some of those comments in the later hours of the show in there. Remember, it being a Thursday, we are going to be having a number of activities arranged for you during this day, where today we shall be having the Lugaramabi coming through with Eric Morris for those who want to also see culture, because I believe all this generation is actually going to be down because of the erosion in the culture. Today we rarely see people sitting together with their family members talking about all these matters. I feel the erosion in culture could be also really definitely contributing to that, and that is why the Lugbaramabi program will be coming through with Eric Morris, and I hope they also really will be touching on this matter and also really see how things used to be done and how things are changing today, so that slowly eventually we can be able to slowly go back to our ways. And I feel the African tradition is really, really dying. And why is it dying? A lot of factors are actually being attributed to this. First of all, the also adoption of what we call foreign behavior is really something that is definitely playing its part when it comes to erosion of the African behavior. That is why such issues are rising up. So I feel at the end of the day there's something we should be able to do, because if at all we're not doing it, then our children are going to be facing the problems. But are we ready to see our children facing all those challenges? Definitely I would want to say no. It means we do something, and that is where we are saying culture, more so these different entities, must also now go back and sensitize the communities. I would wish to see the Aluru also really do that, and this is also where I want to see the Kera Aluru also really sensitizing. I've seen them doing it very much often. I want to see the Lubara and also the Lubara also doing it, and I want to see the Kakwas, Paramount Chiefs also doing it, and that would also really at the end of the day see that we do not lose our culture, because I don't think if we are ready to lose this culture, the beautiful African culture that we have in place, just to go like that, it's really quite embarrassing. And I hope at the end of the day we are going to be doing something to make sure that this does not die. And that is where we are seeing this happening in Soro, not knowing a similar case could be happening in West Nile sub-region, in the different parts of this region in there, and also the entire northern Uganda. We could be seeing such scenarios happening. We're just using Kisoro as a sample case, but we're saying this could actually be happening in unawares in our societies. We may not be aware of what is happening, but same scenarios could be happening elsewhere. So I think we're not ready for all that, and we hope at the end of the day this is going to be addressing some of those concerns, and which concerns which we feel will also be addressed simply through going back to our roots, and I mean the African roots, which is actually very beautiful. That is where we want to leave the discussion solely in there. But in case you're just joining us right now, welcome aboard. We are counting that if you are not left out, because if I told you are leaving you out, then it's going to be quite embarrassing, and we are going to be doing a disservice. And that is why all these interesting programs are actually there to also make sure that you are catered for in all spheres and in all aspects, and that is why we are going to be having today the Sweet Talk also coming through the Islamic hour, which is also an hour which we must also not miss out, that will be coming through from 11 to midday. It's actually something which the Muslim community should be able to honor, and also a reminder of Prophet's words and traditions is actually the way forward, and reminding you of what the Quran says and what also the Hadith says is actually the way to go, and to keep yourself reminded. And then a sheikh will be also coming through to also have that spiritual nourishment. We don't have to make sure that we miss out, because many times we see people going for the khutbah late, and yet the khutbah is actually part of the Jummah prayers, and that is where you may be having this opportunity, if at all you're caught up, still watch Western television on Fridays, where the Islamic hour also will be coming through and let you know of what is happening also really on the Islamic hour in there. And many other programs will be coming through. Remember, it is also not the only program also for the Muslims alone. On Sundays, we have also the Sabiti, which is another program also for the Christians. And all these programs are to make sure that you are not left out when it comes to getting closer to your God. And getting closer to your God is actually the way to go. And we must always make sure that our relationship with God is not far-fetched, because we do not know what is coming up ahead of us. Yesterday we lost a brother, and definitely also just like him, you could also maybe lose your life. So I think that's something, of course, we are not praying for, God forbid. We hope also you are close to God, so that solely if at all anything bad is to happen to you, you are not scared. You are being close to God. But that is where we hope you take advantage of all these programs, first of all, that are for the religions, the Sabiti and Islamic hour, so that you're not left out in there. And that is where we're going to be leaving the discussion, and also really leaving a talk in there as we're counting down 3 minutes to 8:30. We still have lots more to also let you know of what's happening in and across the country. And remember, so many things going to happen in the country, where people are counting down days. That is to the end of the year. But how is the year ending is what also you should be able to also make evaluations of yourself and see how best you are doing what you are doing to make sure you achieve those beautiful plans that you laid at the beginning of the year, and also really how much you have achieved so far and what you are doing to make sure also really that you also really do what it takes to make sure that you achieve. And that is where we are going to be seeing KCCA's Frank Rusa outlines his 100-day priorities. And that is where we are now seeing the acting executive director, that is of the Kampala Capital City Authority, Mr. Frank Rusa, has also already gone to outline his first priorities, that is in his 100 days in office. And he made the remarks while speaking at his first press conference since his appointment, that was in September 26th. Mr. Rusa has now acknowledged that KCA faces numerous challenges, but expressed confidence in setting the stage of resolving these issues. Now, what maybe somebody could be asking is, what is this young man planning to do? Mr. Rusa also his priorities include, that is also really saying that we need to have a smart city agenda. And I feel Arua City also should be able to adopt some of these issues. Now the team is set to start working on the smart city agenda, which requires a smart team, and this involves refocusing and re-energizing and retooling the KCA's human resources in there. And now the challenge of waste management is another also where they're going to be also seeing that also he works towards, because if at all he does not also work towards dealing with the issue of waste management, just like his predecessors, the act may also be on his neck, and that will also be a great challenge also for him in there. Now he also outlined of also national solid waste management policy, and Mr. Russo did also make a lot of priorities also in there. Now not forgetting cleaners' salaries. Today if you look at Kampala, if it is dirty, it is because the cleaners did not work. If it is clean, it means that the cleaners have done their work. But in most cases when the cleaners are not paid, it also becomes a great challenge, and which also Rusa is planning also to work towards. What about corruption? Remember, the Chitezi incident was partly attributed to corruption, and that is where also investigations into the matter are currently ongoing. What about beautification? Is another, and also he intends to make Kampala a beautiful city, and the authority will therefore focus on beautifying the city with keeping it green, which is also another initiative, monitoring green spaces, and addressing the issue of potholes, which are indeed a great concern when also it rains. Kampala's roads become very, very much bad. I hope that also is addressed. And now trade order is another, and if you talk about trade order, Arua City as well is implementing the same, where issues of street vending is also another challenge that Mr. Russo seeks to address. Under the trade order in Mr. Russo emphasized that these issues will be handled deliberately according to also available funds. Mr. Russo is going to encourage street vendors to therefore operate from designated markets, also that are being also fenced by the city authorities in there, and that is where we're going to be leaving the discussions for now. I hope you are having a wonderful time. This beautiful Friday morning, the weather in Arua City is a bit beautiful. We are seeing the sun also being up. I don't know how it is in other parts of the region. I hope you are having a wonderful time with us here. From us at the head office, that's on Plant 39A, Weatherhead Park Lane. That is Nanyafio. We are doing quite well. We are also going to be continuing with these discussions up to 9 o'clock. You can share your thoughts and opinions on some of those issues that we are discussing as we run for this short commercial break. When we bounce back, remember we are going to be letting you know of what's happening in the world of sports and international stories. All that is to make sure that there's nothing you do not know. It feels embarrassing, to not know what's happening around your country, and when somebody who trusts you asks you maybe what's happening, and you are not also really able to explain to them what's happening, then that is how they are going to be losing trust in you. And therefore, you should be in position now to watch West Nile television every day. We take a short commercial break. We bounce back shortly.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Jude Bellingham, Vinicius Jr., Lamine Yamal, Antoine Griezmann. La Liga comes to Star Times.
A wild celebration!
The big stars, the tiki-taka football, Real Madrid and Barcelona live in your living room.
Real Madrid, a team of dreams!
Catch all 380 games live and in HD on Sports Premium Channel 259 and Channel 246 starting this August 15th. Subscribe to StarTimes Classic or Smart Bouquet at 36,000 Uganda shillings to enjoy the football experience affordably. StarTimes Football and limited passion.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back into the final half of today's discussions. This is the KOKOLIRIKO morning updates with me, Farish Majid. And our final destination, of course, remains 9 o'clock. And after there, that's when I will be saying, I'm out of here, leaving the studios for the next crew that will be coming through and also give you what they are prepared for you. Because as West Nile Television, we are committed to always give you information across all spheres, where we also give you information when it comes to entertainment, where we are there in politics, we are everywhere. All that is to make sure that you are not left out as a Ugandan, as maybe somebody who is also the part of the viewers. So I think it's really interesting to also be part of the viewer, and always really that is to let you know that we shall be in position to also to give you what is happening. And that is where now, as we begin the half of this hour, which is of course our final hour, where we have now seen 5 people being sentenced, that is to High Court, to stand trial also that is against the Ndiga clan head murder in there. But that is one thing also which we are now seeing, where 5 people who have been accused of murdering the Ndiga clan leader, that is Daniel Bosa Kakende, have now been sent to High Court. That is stand trial in there. Now this was after the police and the officer, the director of public prosecutions concluded the investigations into the murder by shooting also, that where we did see 5 people are now being paraded. That is before High Court in there, where at least 5 people. The 5 people are being known as, we do have Luja Bosa Tabula, Noah Luja, his nephew, and his biological siblings, Harriet Natiguli. We have Joseph Nakabala and Ezra Mayanja. However, we did see Miss Lilian Omara from DP's office presented a withdrawal that the state had also lost interest in prosecuting Mil Naruenda, and that is where we are still following up on those discussions to see how this matter proceeds and how it ends in here. And that is all to make sure that there's no day that you are left out, and there's no way that you are left out. And that's where the commitment remains, irrespective of everything. That really, that's where we also want to let you know that West Nile Television will always give you that. And the indictment states on Friday 25th of 2024, we did see that happening in there, and that is where we are going to be continuing with the discussions. And we hope at the end of the day, all that is going to be also having that information also that you should be in position to also know in there. Now the DP contends that also that the primary scene of the body of the engineer Kakende, where we did see also one person also was arrested in there. Now the community members were able to also really follow their silence, and unfortunately one was killed, and one of them also today has been arrested, and that's to aid in police investigations. And I hope police should have gone far with investigations, and that's where we now expect a final pronouncement on who these people could have been and what motive they could be able to have when it comes to the murder of the Ndiga head clan. Remember, this man, one of the suspects, actually said he murdered this man in revenge of his father's also the property, and that is where he said this man actually had taken advantage of his father and had maybe done something to him, and that is why he's revenging. But is revenge the right way to go? Why don't you seek for maybe better ways? The courts of law in there, if at all you feel disgruntled, you report to police. Let police also carry on its investigations, and that would also at the end of the day make sure that people also desist from those practices. Now the DP's evidence reveals Tabula recruited Enoch Serunkuma and Luja, providing also them the gun and ammunition from his also maternal grandfather, that is Enoch Ndai in Lansana. Notably the gun, it was solely estimated at 7.2 million assault rifle, belonged to his late retired UPDF uncle, that's Bakuru, and had been buried underground also in there. Now among DP's evidence, where we did see also a number of issues surfacing in there, where we are able to also see CCTV camera footage also being removed in there. Now presiding senior principal magistrate grade 1, that is Mr. Adams Biarugawa, committed also the 5 accused in the High Court will stand for trial in there. Now prosecution did go on to allege that on 25th of February 2024 at Chikandua Lunguja village, that's in Rubaga division, that's in Kampala district, the accused persons also and others still at large with malice did commit the murder and death of engineer Daniel Kakende Bosa. But that is one thing which we feel is really quite absurd, because murder is really indeed a big crime. It's solely against the laws of this country, and that therefore tells us that we must condemn and also desist from those practices in there, and that would also at the end of the day spare us from standing against such trials. Imagine you are going to be standing and also visiting court, and you keep on being adjourned, and you keep on being sent on remand, just like that, what will this mean to your families, and what will mean to your socio-economic transformation life? And that is where we feel must also really be able to talk about. And that is one area we are going to be leaving the discussion away with. And the police have issued guidelines. That's for Ginger Noop Youth Convention. It's another story we're seeing. Remember, our National Platform Party members are actually planning to have the youth movement meeting also that is in Ginger. Now, police have cleared the National Youth Platform to hold its National League Convention. That is on October 25th at the Ginger Showground in Ginger City, and not also at Kakindu Stadium as earlier planned. Now, in later dated October 18th of 2024, the Mitiana Municipality Member Parliament, that's also, and also that was the new youth leader, Mr. Francis Zake, also did acknowledge of police also clearance. Now to say that to ensure that law and order to prevail, they have also therefore that and that is where we shall be seeing now this activity going on, because many of the times we have seen this activity not going on well, and according to the letter, the conditions, the number 2 and 3 are that there should be also no another event, and police should not also allow the event only after accessing the security also in there. And that is one issue also really which we are going to follow up. We expect security to also to be beefed up during also this activity, and we expect this activity to go on as planned. Now, police have also really asked the NUP also the hierarchy to secure necessary clearances, that is from the management of the respective venues, for their meetings already in advance, and show the proof to Kira Regional Police Commander, and that also will be now allowing them to continue with the organization also of the activity. Now, NUP leadership is also expected to liaise with the District Security Organization, also the committee of Ginger City, and harmonize security arrangements for the convention to ensure that all aspects of public and also public order, peace and tranquility are observed in there. Now, NUP has also been warned against procession, demonstration, or incitement of violence before and during after the convention. These are the warnings that police is also making in place as strict measures to also adhere to public safety, health, and security. Now, Party President Robert Chagulanyi Sentamu, commonly known as Bobby Wine, is expected to be the chief guest at the event, and he has since taken his social media to rally his supporters to attend the NUP convention, which is also taking place today at also Ginger Showgrounds, and he did also post that. That is also one thing also we are going to be seeing. Now, Mr. Zake also later said we have only received response from the IGP on Wednesday, and that means they are counting down to see how this activity goes on as planned in there, and we hope this activity will therefore move on as planned. We also expect it to also go on in a way that is a bit also really very, very much well in there. And that is where we're going to be leaving the discussion aside. Now heading to Gogwa, which is already an area around also Wakiso. We did see also recently an incident that happened where a motor tank also exploded, where many people lost their lives in there. Now, the Chigogwa Inferno, we did see the truck owner, driver are yet to be identified. Up to date, the owners have not been identified. Now, identities of the owner and the driver of the fuel tanker that gutted also killing at least 15 people and injuring dozens, as others already battling for their lives, have remained unknown, as police are yet to know who owns the vehicle. Now, the Uganda police have turned into Uganda Revenue Authority to help them identify also the owner of the truck, who will then also help identify the driver. And police person Mr. Patrick Onyango confirmed that both individuals' identities have not been obtained, but investigations have reached into the matter, and that is where police will now be asking Uganda Revenue Authority to identify for them the owner of the vehicle, and that will in turn lead to the identification of the driver. Following that tragic incident, where people had gone to also pick fuel from, and we did see the vehicle exploding, and many people died. And on Tuesday, an operator also of the fuel tanker, which was already avoiding a direct hit of taxi after its driver had suddenly stopped in the middle of the road, lost control solely, and veered off the road. And what we did see, people running to pick fuel from. How are we maybe in position to solely learn as citizens? Because it's not the very first time we are seeing people dying as a result of explosion from these fuel tankers, not only in Uganda, but in the entire East African countries. And how can we be in position to sort of learn from this? And now there is a called spillage of fuel, which attracted also people to also siphon it, and residents solely were able to move with jerrycans. But we did see many people dying after the explosion. and now at least 25 people also are still battling for their lives. That is in hospital with 15 also intensive care unit. Most of them are at Chirudu Hospital, and this also maybe it should also go as a warning to those people to also learn from, because if at all we always talk about these issues, we have seen people dying as a result of that. But how ready are we to also do from these practices? Now the spokesman for Ministry of Works and Transport, that is Susan Kataike, said once they have also have the NAPET, they will be in position to also see who registered it, and this will also help prove who owns this vehicle. Now 10 years ago, Uganda Police Force issued also directive that fuel companies share the details also of the trucks and the drivers transporting their products to avoid terror incidents and accidents. And the police also, we are taken also to register of the fuel tankers, and that's where we did see Mr. Konya Onyango, the police also now acknowledging, and also was able to talk about this matter. But how do we address all these matters? And we did see Mr. Onyango also did not also commenting on the matter, and whether they also still enforce also that on the same issue is also what remains unknown, as efforts had been made by police to make sure the owners and of the drivers of all these vehicles are known. Mr. William Busulwa, the chairman of Uganda National Transport Alliance, said yesterday also that he was not also in the know of the driver or the truck that was involved in the Chigogwa accident, and that means we need to do something. What maybe I would advise police to also mind of is the CCTV camera footage that where the vehicle could have passed from. This could actually be able to detect the number of this vehicle, and then Uganda Revenue Authority will be in position to also see how and who owns this vehicle is identified. Mr. Busua said many of the internal fuel transporters don't abide by the regulations, and that is why they find the challenge. And Mr. Busula said they only limit all trucks from carrying the products to avoid accidents, and that is not enough. What about the vehicles also that are having foreign outlets? Will this work in this country? Because many times we see the fuel also being transported by vehicles that have Kenyan outlets, sometimes South Sudanese outlets. But how can we maybe learn from the Chigogwa accident? I really feel there's something that all the people must be in position to learn from, and that would also really help avoid future occurrences of such instances that left many people already dead in there. And that is one area which we are going to be also leaving that discussion aside with. And that's why we're going to be leaving that discussion aside and look at also other stories. At least 350 inaugural Kiswahili students have graduated. Is another story that also where we are now seeing it was cheers, joy and pomp on Thursday as the first batch of Kiswahili students graduated after completing a one-year course funded by, that's the National Resistance Movement Party Secretariat, and the government solely in recent years has been sensitizing the masses to adopt and interest themselves in learning the language, which has since gained that is eminence as a common language of the East African community. The Abari Muzuri language is actually what we need to learn. And tomorrow, on Monday, you never know, I will be coming and say, Abari Asubui, and that will also maybe be very much good for you who is not also adapting. And that is also what we must also be able to also adopt and learn from that. And now to see that more citizens, I think Swahili, that's where we listen to the National Resistance Movement Party, also enrolling most of the people for those subjects. And that is one area which we must also embrace ourselves on. And that would also, at the end of the day, make sure that we address and also move on with also the language. And now government has been ordered to compensate that is exiled novelist. Earlier on I was able to also give a hint on this story with 50 million shillings, that is for torture. And now that is also where the High Court in Kampala has ordered the government or the Uganda to compensate exiled novelist, that is Kakwenza Rokarabasaija, with 50 million Ugandan shillings for torturing him and invading his privacy. Now in a 24-page ruling delivered via email, that is on October 23rd of this year, Justice Boniface Wamala found that Mr. Kakwenza demonstrated he was illegally detained for over a week and subjected to torture by security operatives, and that is why the government today has been ordered to actually compensate for this man who has since fled the country and is residing abroad. And according to the judge, the conduct of the agents was unconstitutional, oppressive as well as arbitrary, and warranting an award of exemplary damages. That is why we are now seeing Justice Wamala awarded Kakwenza of shillings 40 million in general damages and shillings 10 million in exemplary damages, totaling to shillings 50 million also, although the Savage Avenger author also had also sought for shillings 100 million. That is also the court where we see the court has now granted a specified cost for successfully also filing his also demands in there. And that is where we are now seeing that also happening. And we hope at the end of the day, people are not also tortured, because torture is indeed against people's human rights. It's a violation of human rights, something also which we feel must not also be able to take place in our society. And now somebody could be interested in knowing the background of this case. Now the confession also stems from the lawsuit filed by Mr. Kakwenza, who told court that on April 13th of 2020, military personnel, some in uniform and others in civilian clothes, with CMI also together, arrested him at his home in Iganga district in eastern Uganda, and he was blindfolded and also transported to a known place where he was tortured. And that is where today he feels he must be therefore compensated. And he is going to be paid 50 million Ugandan shillings for the torture he was also really subjected in early 2020. Kakwenza fled to Germany, where he has since received recognition and awards for his writing. Before he fled to Uganda, he faced 2 charges under the Computer Misuse Act, which had also really led to the confiscation of his passport, but he had to sneak out of the country. I don't know how, but we only got to know that he was already out of the country, and today he's really said to be in Germany, but this money still, I believe, will be reaching him in Germany in there. And that's why we're going to bring that discussion aside. And as we get moving with the show, we're just counting down about 5 or 6 minutes. That is one of the discussions, and that brings us to what is happening in the world of sports. Last night, I don't know how games were played. Manchester United was actually held to a 1-1 draw. That is by Fenerbahce, which is from the Turkish side in there. But that is one thing which we did see happening in there, but many people have been saying they have now lost trust in the team after leading for very many minutes, but they couldn't also really seal the win in there. And this is one thing also it is happening, and I really want to say many of those also really, we also did see them happening, because if you look at some of the games that were played last night in the Europa League, that is the group stage of the matches, Eintracht Frankfurt did go on to beat RFS by 1-0. FC Midtjylland was able to beat Union St. Gilloise by 1-0. And Ferencváros was able to beat Nice by 1-0. Maccabi Tel Aviv was able to lose to Real Sociedad by 2-1. PAOK FC was able to draw with Victoria Pleasant by 2-2. Karabag FK lost to Ajax by 3-0. Roma was able to pick a win, that is a 1-0 win, that is against Dynamo Kiev. Anderlecht was able to beat, that is Ludogorets by 2-0. Atletico Club was able to beat Slavia Prague by 1-0. FC Porto was able also to pick a win, that is also a 2-0 win, that is against Hoffenheim. FC Twente was able to lose to Lazio by 2-0. And Fenerbahce, of course, one of the biggest games of last night, with Manchester United ended also in a 1-1 draw in there. Now Lyon did lose to Besiktas by 1-0. Malmo also did go on to lose that to Olympiacos by 1-0, and the Rangers was able to beat FCSB by 4-0. Meanwhile, Tottenham was able to also pick a 1-1 win also against ASZ Alkmaar, and that is how we did see those games happening in there. And tonight, so we are going to be seeing games also happening still tonight, and this is the English Premier League, where we are going to be seeing Leicester City taking on Nottingham Forest. And that is how we are going to be seeing also those games going on. And remember, over the weekend also still, we are going to be seeing very many games going on. And before I get out, I really want to say also that is not the only game that we are going to be having. Many games still will be coming through. That is right from the 4 big league and in the Southern Uganda Premier League as well. That is where we are going to be seeing some of those games going on. And if you look at the big league, it's actually getting intense. It's actually getting contentious, where the teams are also really surprising, where some of the small teams which we thought would be small are actually scaring the big teams by beating them also in there. And that is where it is also really a great concern. And remember, tomorrow we shall be seeing games in the 4 big league, which is Saturday, where our own Nduparaka Football Club will be traveling to Ntungasase. Boma will be playing Karo Karunji, that is on Sunday. And on Sunday still we shall be seeing Chiinda Boys taking on Busoga United. And still on Sunday, another interesting game will be between Gaddafi and Migo Calvary, another western side. Maida will be taking on Paida Black Angels. Black's Power will be in action against Kataka. These are some of the games also over the weekend in the world of a big league in there. Meanwhile, sometimes you go to Premier League. I also do understand that there are games that are also going to be played over the weekend in there. And somebody could be interested in wanting to know maybe how the Southern Uganda Premier League is progressing in there. And I really want to say the games are still going on. And over the weekend also, I believe we are still going to be having very many games also coming back on card. And I really want to say all that is going to be happening. And tonight we shall be having a game that is between Kitara Football Club taking on Ginger's Bull Football Club. And that is one thing also which we are going to be seeing. And yesterday we had games between UPDF and URA which ended 0-0. Maroons ended also in a 1-1 draw with AC Villa, which was also another interesting game yesterday. And of course, more details of what's happening in the world of sports will be coming through. That is in the Whistle Time program with Owen Zaganda Suzy, who will be here shortly from now. That is only where they will be in position also to let you know of what is happening. And more details to what's happening in the world of sports, of course, will be coming through in there. And I hope you will be in position to be with them, where they will be giving out comprehensive and detailed analysis of what's happening in the world of sports in here. And from me to you, I want to say thank you so much for watching us. For those of you who watched us right from Monday, I want to say I really, really cherish and honor you. And I want to say thank you so much. And with that, I come to the end of the KOKOLIRIKO edition for this week. And also really, I hope you had a wonderful time with me. And it was a busy week, and a busy week, of course, it was, where so many things also happened in there. I hope it was actually on a good note. For those who had a bad week, you could have lost your relatives, you could have lost your friends, you could have lost money. We are saying all that is God's arrangement. We have to still continue praying and thanking Him for whatever happens our way in there. And with that, I come to the end. Have a good day. And up next is the Elaza News Bulletin. And after that, we shall be having Lubor Mabi and many other interesting programs. I'm out.
West Nile TV.